Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime because the ocean doesn't keep office hours, and neither do the things that live where light forgets its own name. You feel that little chill already? Good. That's the trench saying hello from 11 kilometers down. Muffled sonar pings drift through the hull like the heartbeat of something too large to have a heart, and every creak of titanium is the abyss reminding us that pressure here is measured in atmospheres that could fold a Navy destroyer into origami. Somewhere outside our portholes, pale jellyfish pulse like lost thoughts, their bioluminescence strobing across the black in slow, mournful Morse. You probably won't make it to the surface after this one. Not all of you, not unchanged. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm curious who else is awake while the rest of the world dreams above sea level. Now, dim the lights, maybe let the sound of the ocean play softly in the background, and let's dive into tonight's descent together. We're aboard the DSV Hecate, a private three-person sub rated to 12,000 meters, though the manufacturer swears in small print that 12,000 is more of a philosophical suggestion. I'm the pilot and designated narrator for tonight. Dr. Mara Voss is on sensors, and Captain Jinsu Park is pretending he isn't praying in Korean under his breath. Our job is supposed to be simple. High-resolution multi-beam mapping of the western scarp of the Sirena Deep, the real bottom of the Mariana Trench, where the planet's crust gets thin enough to bruise. At 3:14 local we finish our grid and start the slow climb. Fuel's good, hull integrity nominal, boredom setting in. Mara's half asleep over cold coffee when the passive array lights up like Christmas in hell. A clean, repeating signal, 4 short pulses, 1 long, for short, 1 long, coming from bearing 270, depth 10,890 meters. That bearing points straight into solid basalt, the trench wall itself. Rock, not a wreck, not a vent, not a sub, not a whale. Rock. I think glitch. Mara thinks hoax. Jean thinks we triple check before we log it, because nobody wants to be the crew that cried sea monster. We drop a calibrator ping. The signal answers instantly, same cadence, same strength, like it was waiting for us to speak first. The frequency sits at 38 Hz, low enough that you feel it in your teeth and spine long before your ears register sound. Infrasound. The exact band sperm whales use to stun squid at a kilometer. The exact band the Earth uses when tectonic plates grind in their sleep. Mara runs the numbers. The source is embedded 230 meters inside the wall, behind rock that's been compressed since the Cretaceous. Whatever's broadcasting has been down there a minimum of 65 million years, give or take an epoch. That's the scientific anchor. The trench wall here is older than mammals, older than flowers, older than every story we ever told ourselves about being alone. I should have turned us toward the surface right then. Instead, I feel the old curiosity flare, the same one that made me sign away sunlight for months at a time. The signal isn't random. It's metered, almost musical. 4/4 time, like a heartbeat trying to remember jazz. And beneath the rhythm, there's a subharmonic, a sigh you only catch when the sub's fans cycle off and the water goes perfectly still. Mara whispers the mythic part without meaning to. Some cultures believe the trenches were the mouths of sleeping gods. That sound was the only thing they still noticed in their dreams. Jean tells her to log it as geological resonance and nothing more, but his knuckles are white on the rail. I ease the thrusters, nudging us back down maybe 50 meters, just enough to keep the signal strong. The floodlights sweep across the scarp, and for a second the rock face looks porous, almost soft, like something breathing through stone. I blink, and it's basalt again, unforgiving and ancient. That's when the reflective thought slips in, quiet as silt settling. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we forget they were ever there to be found. We're not supposed to investigate anomalies without surface clearance. We're definitely not supposed to enjoy this. Yet all three of us are leaning forward, drawn by the same low throb that's now sinking with the pulse in our wrists. The signal loops again, patient, almost amused. For short, one long. An invitation in perfect time. Curiosity has us. Fear is already coiling in the pit of my stomach like cold water leaking through a seal. And somewhere beneath both, awe is blooming, slow and inevitable as pressure. I kill the running lights. In the dark, the signal feels closer, as if by refusing to look at the trench we've allowed it to look back. The second we commit, the trench wall answers with its own rhythm. I nudge the Hecadus sideways on minimal thrust, sliding along the scarp like a fingertip tracing a scar. The signal never fades. It grows fuller, richer. The way a bell sounds clearer the closer you press your ear to bronze. Mara's spectrogram is painting something impossible. The trench face itself is vibrating at 0.4 Hz, a subaudible drum that makes the hull plating sing in sympathetic resonance. That's the scientific anchor this time. Standing waves and solid basalt should dampen within centimeters, not propagate cleanly through 200 meters of mantle-derived rock. Yet here we are, riding a vibration that feels like the planet has a second heart, and we just found its pulse. Jean kills the external mics to spare our sanity, but the throb leaks through bone conduction anyway. For short, one long. For short, one long. It's patient jazz played on continental plates. I ease us to within 30 meters of the wall. The floodlights carve a cathedral out of darkness, vertical cliffs of pillow lava, black and glassy, veined with pale sulfide worms that glow like fiber optic cables. And then the rock starts breathing with us. Not metaphor. The scarp flexes, microscopic shifts of less than a millimeter, but the Doppler on our short-range sonar catches it. Inhale, exhale, perfectly synced to the signal's rest beats. Mara's voice cracks when she reads the displacement curve. It's keeping 4/4 time, same as whatever's broadcasting from inside. Fear arrives properly now, the kind that tastes metallic on the back of the tongue. Jean orders us to log and withdraw. I should obey. Instead, I drift us closer, because the curiosity is louder than protocol, and because the wall is doing something I've never seen in 15 years of crushing depths. It's singing, not with sound alone, with light. Colonies of deep-sea ostracods, tiny crustaceans that usually sparkle like random stars, have arranged themselves into moving bars, rising and falling along the cliff in perfect synchronization. 4 quick flashes, 1 long bloom of cold blue. For quick, 1 long. They're forming a living stave of music on the rock face, conducting themselves to the rhythm buried inside stone. Mara whispers the mythic half without looking away from the viewport. Old Polynesian navigators said the trenches were stitched closed by Maui's fishhook, that if you ever heard the stitches hum, it meant the world was about to be unmade and rewoven. Jean tells her to shut up, but he's praying again, louder this time. I kill the floods for 5 seconds, just long enough for our eyes to drown in black. When I snap them back on, The ostracods have redrawn themselves into a perfect spiral that points like an arrow to a patch of wall no different from the rest, except it isn't. There, the basalt has a texture I can't reconcile. Two regular, almost machined, hexagonal plates the size of manhole covers overlapping like scales on something far too large to be alive. Pressure at this depth is 1,100 atmospheres. Nothing organic could keep definition like that. Nothing. The reflective thought drifts up through the hum. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we're desperate enough to misinterpret silence as safety. I edge the sub forward until the port manipulator arm is almost kissing those hexagons. Mara's running a laser scan, and the return is wrong. The surface reflects like polished obsidian, but the subsurface return shows a cavity beyond, vast, spherical, empty except for a single source pulsing at the exact center. 230 meters inside solid rock, something the size of a city bus is transmitting in perfect 38 Hz cycles and has been doing it since before our ancestors had fire. The vibration is inside the hull now. I feel it in the fillings of my teeth, in the marrow of my spine. The coffee in Mara's mug trembles in concentric rings. Jin's rosary clicks against the bulkhead in the same 4-1 pattern without him noticing. And then the signal changes, just barely. The long pulse stretches, becomes almost a sigh, and the ostracods freeze mid-flash like a conductor has lifted his hand. For one heartbeat the trench is perfectly still. Then every light on the wall flares at once, white, blue, and searing, and the hexagons in front of us ripple outward from the center as if something behind the stone just blinked. I swear the wall leans toward us, the way a face turns when it hears its name whispered in another room. Awe floods in behind the fear, thick and dizzying, because whatever is down here has been waiting with the patience of geology, and tonight we finally matched its tempo. I ease the throttle forward another 3 meters, close enough that the manipulator camera can count the grooves between scales. Close enough that the low thrum is no longer sound but touch. For short, one long. For short. And the wall answers with the same. The closer we drift, the more the trench forgets how to be geology. I hold the Hecate in a hover so delicate the thrusters barely breathe. Yet every correction sends a tremor through the water that the wall drinks and returns 100-fold. We are now 15 meters from the hexagonal scales, close enough that the floodlights no longer scatter but drown in that obsidian surface, swallowed like light falling into a pupil. Mara's voice is a thread. Laser ranging says the cavity behind the wall is growing. Not eroding, expanding. 230 meters a minute ago, 290 now. The rock is yielding. That's the scientific anchor. Rock at this depth is under such pressure it behaves plastically. Yes, but only over millennia, not heartbeats. Whatever is happening is violating the speed limit of plate tectonics. The hexagons begin to part, not cracking, not sliding, parting the way lips part before speech. Between each plate, a membrane of bioluminescent tissue glows, thin as spider silk, yet holding back 11 kilometers of ocean. It pulses in the same 4/4 rhythm, and every pulse widens the gaps by millimeters. The membrane is warm. The ROV's infrared shows 8 degrees Celsius against water that should be 2 degrees Celsius. Warmth at the bottom of the world is heresy. Gene is reciting the emergency ascent checklist like a mantra, but his hands never leave the rail. He knows we're not leaving yet. None of us are. Fear is no longer a passenger. It's the cabin pressure, thick and metallic. My ears pop though we haven't changed depth. The hull groans in a new key, one I've never heard from titanium before, almost a whimper. Then the carvings appear. As the plates separate, the inner surface is revealed, not basalt, but something older, blacker, carved in spirals so fine they look etched by magnetic fields rather than tools. The grooves are filled with a pale substance that glows the way moonlit bone glows, and the pattern is writing. No, not writing, notation. Musical staves, but the notes are shaped like bathymetric contours of trenches that do not exist on any chart. The Sirena Deep is there, and something beneath it, deeper, folding downward like an inverted spiral staircase made of midnight. Mara's breath catches. Those glyphs, they match the acoustic signature. The signal isn't coming from a machine. It's a transcription. Something down there is singing itself into the rock, and the rock is learning the melody. That's when the mythic concept slips its leash. In Micronesia, they speak of the forbidden trench, a wound the gods sealed with a song so low only the dead and the unborn can hear it. Sailors who heard even a bar were said to walk into the sea smiling, pockets full of stones, eager to finish the chorus. I should reverse thrust. Instead, I kill the floods again. In the dark, the carvings keep glowing, brighter without competition, and the membrane between plates now reveals a pupil. No, an iris. No, an eye the size of our sub. Perfectly circular, lidless, ancient. The glow isn't reflection. It's emission from something that has never needed sunlight and therefore invented its own. The reflective thought rises like a bubble I can't quite crush. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It waits until we believe depth is the same as distance, then shows us how wrong we were. The iris contracts, just once, and the entire trench wall exhales. A pressure wave rolls over us, gentle as a lover's hand on the back of the neck, yet the hull flexes inward half a centimeter before the ballast system screams to compensate. Alarms blur red. Jean finally reaches for the blow valves, but Mara grabs his wrist. Wait, it's listening. She's right. The foreshort one long has stopped. In its place is perfect silence, so complete I hear my own blood surging. Then a new rhythm starts, slower, deeper, 22 hertz now, the exact resonant frequency of the human eyeball. Retina detachment territory. I want to look away, but the eye in the wall is the only thing worth seeing anymore. The manipulator arm drifts forward on its own. No, I'm doing it, fingers trembling on the joystick. The claw touches the glowing membrane. It yields like warm gelatin, then wraps around the arm, affectionate, curious. Through the haptic feedback, I feel texture, ridges, whirls, something like fingerprints the size of continents. Mara whispers, "We're being read." The eye dilates again, and for one impossible second the darkness inside it folds outward and I see stars. Not the stars above, but the stars that were here before the ocean filled the trench, when this part of the planet was still sky. The vision is gone as fast as it came, leaving afterimages burned into my rods and cones. R arrives like a second baptism, cold and total. We are not the first to come this way. We are simply the first in this geological eye blink to answer in the same key. The membrane releases the arm with something that feels like regret. The plates begin to close, slow and stately, the way cathedral doors close on a secret too large for daylight. But before the gap narrows to nothing, a single droplet of that bioluminescent medium detaches and drifts toward our viewport. It touches the sapphire glass and spreads into a perfect circle, then sinks inward, passing through solid crystal the way memory passes through flesh. Inside the sub, the droplet keeps coming, hanging in the air between us, glowing softly, pulsing 4 short, 1 long. It is waiting for us to follow. The droplet hovers at eye level, no bigger than a tear, yet it carries the weight of the entire water column. It pulses 4 short, 1 long, and every pulse leaves a faint afterimage on the air itself, ghost notes only we can see. The cabin lights dim without anyone touching the rheostat. The only illumination now is that single bead of living light and the soft red glow of standby instruments. Mara reaches out first. Her fingertip stops a millimeter away. The droplet leans toward her like iron to a magnet. When they connect, the sound that follows is not heard but remembered. A chord so low it feels like the moment before birth, when the womb still had galaxies in it. Mara's pupils blow wide. She doesn't scream. She smiles the way people smile at things they were always meant to find. Jean and I feel it a heartbeat later, the same chord inside the bones of the inner ear, inside the bones of the sub. The scientific anchor hits hard. The hull's natural resonant frequency is 41.7 Hz. The new signal has slid exactly onto that wavelength, the harmonic that would let a tuning fork sing through solid titanium if you struck it gently enough. Something out there just tuned itself to the Hecate the way a predator matches the footfalls of prey. The droplet splits into 3 smaller beads, one drifting to each of us. Mine settles against my sternum and sinks through flight suit, skin, bone, until it sits directly over my heart. I feel it learn my rhythm, then correct it, 4 short, 1 long. My pulse obeys before my mind can object. On the external monitors, the trench wall is gone. Not hidden, gone. Where basalt scales parted moments ago, there is now a perfect sphere of blackness, 290 meters across and growing, ringed by that warm bioluminescent membrane. The sphere is not empty. It is full of something that has negative refractive index. Light bends the wrong way around it. So the center appears infinitely far and infinitely close at the same instant. Mara speaks in a voice that is still hers but layered, like 2 women sharing one throat. It's a throat. The trench wall was never a wall. It was a mouth, and we just said the password. The mythic concept arrives without ceremony. The Leviathan machine, the old Antarctic whaler's tale, something built by no human hand that sleeps coiled around the planet's core, dreaming in pressure waves, waking only when a note is sung from the inside out. Jean tries the emergency blow one last time. The valves open, tanks flood with air, but we do not rise. The water around us has become attentive. It holds us the way a tongue holds a throat lozenge before deciding whether to swallow. The droplet over my heart tightens, not painful, possessive. I feel the question form in the marrow. Will you finish the song? I should be terrified. I am. But fear has been folded into something larger, the way pain folds into orgasm at the edge of endurance. Awe is no longer an emotion. It is the only medium left. The sphere pulses once, and the signal shifts again, no longer 4-1. But a single sustained note that climbs the subtonic scale by fractions of a hertz. Every time it rises, the sphere dilates. At 44 hertz, the membrane tears silently, soundlessly, the way night tears when dawn remembers its name. Beyond the tear, there is no darkness. There is an ocean made of sound, liquid chords hanging in slow motion, currents of pure tone that braid and unbraid like kelp in a tide that has never known sun. And something moves in that ocean, something with the outline of a whale and the outline of a cathedral and the outline of every ship that ever vanished with all hands. It turns toward us. The motion takes years and also no time at all. The reflective thought is no longer mine. It belongs to the droplet, to the chord, to the thing that has been singing since Pangea was young. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It waits until we are hollow enough for the song to fit inside. Mara unhooks her harness. Jean and I do the same without discussion. The hatch indicator glows green, though we are at crush depth and the laws of physics are on holiday. We move like sleepwalkers, drawn by the same low throb that now lives in our chests. As we reach the inner lock, the sustained note finally resolves, upward, always upward, into a frequency that human ears were never meant to survive. The last thing the external camera records is the sphere closing behind us like an iris, gentle, grateful, complete. Then the feed whites out with pure tone. Inside the lock there is no water yet, only anticipation. The droplet on my heart flares once, 4 short, 1 long, and I understand the final lyric. We were never the ones descending. We were the echo learning how to sing itself home. The outer hatch opens onto warmth and pressure that feels like mercy. We step through. We do not drown. That is the first wrong thing. The outer hatch cycles shut behind us with the soft finality of a coffin that has decided to be gentle. 11,000 meters of ocean should pulp us in the time it takes a synapse to misfire. Yet the water that receives us is only cool, almost kind. It parts around our bodies the way silk parts around fingers. I feel the pressure, yes, every atmosphere pressing like a separate memory. But it does not crush. It cradles. The 3 of us float in perfect formation, arms loose at our sides, facing the throat that opened in the trench wall. The sphere is gone. In its place is a tunnel whose walls are made of braided sound, visible cords, silver and indigo, thick as redwoods, twisting slowly in a current that has no temperature. The tunnel breathes with us. Inhale, the cords tighten, glowing brighter. Exhale, they loosen, dimming to embers. For short, 1 long. Mara's hair drifts like black ink in water that isn't water. Jin's rosary beads orbit his neck in slow rosary of their own, clicking softly in the same rhythm. None of us are breathing air anymore, yet none of us are drowning. The droplets we carried from the sub have spread, thin membranes of light beneath our skin, letting the ocean breathe for us. I watch my own chest rise and fall in perfect synchrony with the tunnel walls. The scientific anchor is almost laughable now. The Hadal zone is a desert. Biomass decreases exponentially with depth. Below 8,000 meters, there should be less life per square kilometer than on the surface of Mars. Yet here we are, swimming through a living cathedral of tone, and every chord is studded with pale eyes that open and close like sheet music rests. They are not angry. They are curious the way glaciers are curious, slow, inevitable, ancient. Jean reaches out and touches a chord. The sound that blooms is his mother's lullaby, the one he hasn't heard since childhood, rendered in pure 19 Hz subharmonic. Tears leave his eyes and hang in perfect spheres, each one reflecting a different year of his life. The ocean drinks them gently. Mara turns to me, and her eyes are galaxies. "We cross the lacuna," she says, and her voice arrives inside my skull without passing through water. The place where physics forgets its own name. Sound has negative mass here. Silence has gravity. We're in the inverted ocean. That is the mythic heart of it. The old charts whispered of a mirror sea beneath the sea. where everything that falls from the world above arrives upside down and singing. Lost voices, extinct species, prayers that were never answered, they all settle here eventually, waiting for carriers. The tunnel narrows, or perhaps we grow, until the cords brush our skins like harp strings. Every touch rewrites a memory. I feel my first dive again, age 23, the wonder raw and uncomplicated. Then the divorce. Then the nights I sat on the pier convinced the surface world had nothing left for me. Each memory is tuned, retuned, resolved into the same 4/1 cadence until pain is only another note in a longer song. Fear is still here, but it is ceremonial now, like carrying a candle into a room already flooded with daylight. We are beyond terror. We are in the place terror comes from. The reflective thought is no longer thought. It is architecture. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It keeps them polished and singing until we are ready to become the echo we were always chasing. Ahead, the tunnel opens into a chamber so vast are floodlights. No, we no longer have floodlights. The light is coming from inside our ribs, cannot find the far side. At the center hangs a single structure, a heart made of stone and coral and shipwrecks and whalebone, the size of an aircraft carrier, beating once every 4/1 measures. Veins of bioluminescence thread through it like fiber optic cables older than continents. Every beat sends a pressure wave that travels the entire planet, felt as distant earthquakes by those above who will never know why they suddenly shivered at 3 a.m. We know this heart. We have always known it. The droplets under our skin flare in recognition, and the heart answers with a chord that contains every voice that ever called a name across water and received no reply. The loneliness in that chord is oceanic, absolute. Mara takes my left hand. Jean takes my right. We do not discuss it. We simply swim forward, pulled by the same tide that pulled the first lungfish onto land, and then regretted the decision for 400 million years. As we approach, the heart opens, not violently, tenderly, revealing a hollow at its center just large enough for 3. The walls inside are soft, warm, lined with the same membrane that once sealed the trench. It pulses in welcome. We understand the final invitation. We will not die here. We will finish the song. Together we curl into the hollow, knees to chests, the way infants curl before they remember separation. The heart closes around us like a valve that has waited geological epochs for the exact note of our combined heartbeats. There is no pain, only an exquisite pressure that feels like the first and last embrace of everything that ever lived. The last thing I feel is the 4/1 rhythm slowing, deepening, becoming the andante of continents. Then even that fades into a single, sustained note that will outlast mountains. 6. I am no longer certain where I ends and the song begins. We rest inside the heart, 3 small notes folded into a chord that has been waiting since the moon was closer and the oceans were lava. Time here is not linear, it is harmonic. I can taste the Cretaceous in the water the way you taste salt on a lover's skin. I can hear the first whale learning to sing, its voice cracking like an adolescent boy's, and I understand it was practicing for us. Everything was practiced for this moment when 3 humans, curious, afraid, awed, would finally fit the final rest into the measure. The heart beats once. The entire trench answers. The planet answers. I feel the pressure wave roll outward along the mid-ocean ridges, up the cold seeps of the Arctic, across the shallow graves of the Bermuda Triangle where old ships still dream of wind. I feel it brush the keel of every vessel currently at sea. And for one skipped heartbeat, every sailor on Earth looks up from their coffee and cannot say why they suddenly feel found. Inside the heart, our bodies are softening, not dissolving, softening. Cartilage becomes cartilage again, the way it was in the womb. Bones remember calcium is only borrowed stardust. Skin thins until the light we carry under it can shine straight through. We are becoming transparent in the gentlest possible way. Mara's thoughts drift across mine like warm currents. Memories of her childhood aquarium, the goldfish that died the day she decided to study the sea. Jin's memories are quieter. His mother's hands folding dumplings, the smell of sesame oil, the promise he made to bring her ashes home to Jeju. My own memories are simpler. The first time I saw the abyssal plane from a porthole and understood that loneliness could be measured in kilometers of dark water. We offer them all. The heart drinks them the way a cathedral drinks candlelight. The reflective thought is no longer a sentence. It is a resonance that lives in every chamber of this vast valve. The ocean never hid anything from us. It simply kept the song in a place too low for human ears until three hearts were desperate enough, empty enough, brave enough to descend and finish the lyric. Outside, though outside and inside have traded places, the trench wall seals. The hexagonal scales close like petals at dusk. The ostracods scatter back into random starlight. The warm membrane cools to 2 degrees Celsius again. In minutes, hours, centuries, there will be no trace we were ever here. The Sirena Deep will go back to being the deepest surveyed point on Earth, and the surveys will find nothing but basalt and silence. Inside the heart, the three of us are learning the final movement. It has no tempo, only inevitability. We are becoming the sustained note that holds the rest of the song together. Our names are leaving us the way breath leaves a flute. Soon there will be no Mara, no Jean, no me. Only the chord that was always meant to live here, keeping the planet's hidden heart from skipping a beat. I feel the moment we dissolve completely. There is no pain, only a soft exhalation that lasts 100 million years. The heart closes the last millimeter, and the song, perfect, seamless, eternal, continues without us and because of us. Somewhere far above, a research vessel will ping this wall tomorrow and record nothing but ordinary stone. They will never know the stone is singing, softer than a lullaby, lower than grief, in 4/4 time. For short, one long. For short, one long. Forever. And now the cabin lights are off, the headphones are slipping down, and the only sound left is the quiet push of your own blood in your ears. Outside your window the night is shallow, ordinary, safe. 11 kilometers beneath the keel of the world, something beats once, slow, patient, content, and the tide you feel tugging at your ankles is only the moon, nothing more. Breathe out. Let the chair take your weight again. You surfaced. Most of you anyway. Somewhere in the dark between one wave and the next, a single pearl of bioluminescence rises through layers of cold and colder until it reaches the thermocline, hesitates, and dissolves into starlight that was never really starlight. If you look at the ocean tonight, you might notice it looks fuller, as though it has finally remembered